And we're live. Yep, we're definitely live. Hello. Oh, that's a push notification I've just got.
Very good.
La 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 la. Good evening, everyone. In P2K world. Trust you're all well. Right. How's the weather been your way, Nev? Because we had quite a heap of rain yesterday.
Oh, yeah, we had a bit here, but the temperature is a bit more sensible. It's 23, 25 degrees, so something a bit more manageable, I'm pleased to say. Although it's going to get warmer.
What, again?
At the end of the week. They're talking about 28, 29 degrees again.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Which is, we don't want any more of that. Thank you.
I missed that. Cause I thought the temperature's dropping right off.
Well, yeah, I think it depends where you are. It depends where.
Oh, and you're not wrong, Nev. 26 tomorrow, 27 Friday, 25 Saturday, 23 Sunday.
It's going to rain a lot on Saturday, apparently, so I'm going to do the lawn mowing on Friday, I think.
Oh, that's Sunday.
Yeah.
The rain, yeah.
Yeah. But, yes, it's been all over the place, the weather, isn't it? So, quite ironically, you may have heard of Thames Water. We come underneath Thames Water. It's a huge water utility company. And although we don't have a hosepipe ban yet, it's just a question of time. And this company is notorious for not fixing leaks. Anyway, today, going through one of the main roads near where HS2 is being built, they have managed to flood the entire section of the A413. And I mean, seriously flood. I mean, swimming pool standard. So that's one of the main arteries just shut off completely. Won't it be funny if they then impose a hosepipe ban because they've got a leak?
I saw a post on social media. That was the other day before yesterday. It might have been the day before yesterday. And there was a subway train in New York, and the water was piling up out of a drain cover, flooding the platform, and the people were stuck in the train and couldn't get the doors open.
Oh dear, that's not what you want, is it? No.
Always reminds me of the storm in Malta. When you get a heavy rainstorm in Malta, it is biblical.
Yeah, I remember when we used to do shows the show still goes on in Orlando every 2 years, and the Orange County Convention Centre, and most flights land in Orlando at about 4:00 in the afternoon, just at the point when the big thunderstorms start, and it is like someone has switched a tap on, and it just goes full on because of the humidity. But then it stops as quickly as it started, but by then the damage is already done. And last time I was there, the aircraft was getting struck by lightning on the ground. We just literally taxied off the runway, and we were going through the taxiways, just about to hook up to the gate, and they won't hook it up to the gate if there's a current lightning strike going on, and you're still able not to be on the gate. So to do with earthing and stuff like that, I would imagine.
Yeah,
so,
never mix well, Nev.
No, it's not ideal.
Those two items.
Not ideal at all. Yes, it's but yeah, it's gone a bit humid again here. So because I was in Gloucestershire this afternoon, I'll tell you a bit more about that a bit later on as well.
Sturman's just sent me a message. You probably heard that. Oh, wonder what happened with the old Lancaster, Nev. I saw a report that they had an issue with one of the engines this week.
Oh, I hadn't
when
heard
it was
that.
Flying, yeah.
Well, it's military, so I filter that out, obviously.
Oh, yes.
Although I have, in my defence, I have put 2 military stories in the show tonight, which I have chosen.
Did you hear that, everyone? Nev chose.
And it's not all about the Queen's flight and the 146 and RAF Northolt. It's some real grey stuff. So, I'm learning slowly. Oh, dear.
John Falk's in shock.
Yeah.
He's in shock. Guess has put Nev slowly turning grey.
Yes. Well, not wrong.
Oh, dear.
Not wrong, Dirk.
Right, how close are we to...
well, it's a couple of minutes away. Yeah, right. 2 minutes away. So, yes, there's plenty of military aircraft around here today as well. What's going on? Perhaps some RIAT arrivals coming down the east coast and coming across, perhaps.
Well, we have had good weather for flying around here, that's for sure.
Yeah. I saw on a Facebook page that a number of acts have been cancelled because of technical issues. I saw 3 or 4 groups of aircraft that aren't going to be able to attend RIAT.
Yeah, I saw the same post on the RIAT website.
Well, that's going to happen, isn't it, unfortunately?
Yep.
It shows when you're using real stuff or old stuff in some cases.
Of course, Mr. Warner is already there.
Is he?
Yeah.
Have you got lots of rolls of 35mm film for his camera?
He'll need them. Hello, Nigel. You coming in and join your brother? I
wonder how many... Perhaps we should have a competition. How many pictures is Jonathan Warner going to take at this year's RIAT? And it should be, and it should be sort of plus or minus 3,000. Is the area of.
That would be brilliant. Oh, perhaps. Do you know what? That's not a bad idea, Nev. We could run a competition.
Let's do that.
Guess how many pictures Jonathan Warner will take at this year's RIAT, and. Yeah, do you know what? I might speak to John. I might message Mr. Warner.
Keep your eye on the clock, Carlos.
Oh yeah. When shall I hit it?
So it's 5 seconds now.
3, 2, 1.
There you go.
There we go. It's running, Nev.
Fantastic. Oh, Richard Adams already put in a figure of 4,500. Dirk S says about 11,000. Lee Davis says 1,500. This is before we even started the competition. Wow.
Oh, it's brilliant.
I'm going to hold you to those, fellas, I tell you.
Yeah, we are.
6, 5, 4, 3.
Well, hello and welcome to episode 560 of the Plain Talking UK podcast. I am Carlos, and in this week's show we discuss the tragic accident at London Southend Airport involving a Super King B200 aircraft. The low-cost carrier Wizz Air is axing their Dubai Abu Dhabi venture after struggling with operational and political obstacles, and Boeing is starting to build its first wing for their Boeing 777-8 Freighter. In the military this week, the US Air Force begins using its A-29C Super Tucanos to train new test pilots, and we discuss the B-52s that were escorted by Japanese and South Korean fighters in a recent trilateral exercise. We also have another interview from the Duxford Air Show with the crew of a Mark V Jet Provost, who talked about the restoration and operational challenges of owning that aircraft. And joining me from across the glens, the dales, the rivers, the sunny fields of Great Britain, it is, of course, my fellow co-host, Neville Bones. Hello, Nev.
Good evening to you, matey. How are you? Are you all right?
Yeah, good. Yeah, it's been a very busy week for sure. Been a very busy week for sure. Lots to do and at work, and obviously with the house move imminent, it's also a challenging time, I'm going to say.
Yeah. I've not moved house since 2006, and I don't have any intention of going there again. It's quite stressful, isn't it, really? It's one of the most stressful things you can do, I think, is moving house. Particularly as it's not until very late on in the process in the UK, or certainly in England and Wales, that you get certainty about it. It's a bit different in Scotland, I think, but you never quite know when you're going to be moving or if you're going to be moving very often. So
yes.
But well, I had a very nice afternoon, and actually morning and afternoon today. We went over to the Cotswolds, so went to Stow-on-the-Wold and Bourton-on-the-Water, which of course is not that far from RAF Fairford. Where there is military activity, I believe. So there was some arrivals going on, and of course these extremely loud aircraft are going across, which is some beautiful, picturesque villages and towns, and it's a very, very highly populated area for tourists as well. And the weather was great, so that was good too. But it was noisy at times, I have to say. But nothing on Flight Radar 24 and nothing on ADSB Exchange either.
That's unusual, because normally all the military stuff is on ADSB Exchange.
Yes, that's what I thought. So it must be on some sort of covert system, perhaps. So yeah, there we are. That was my day.
Oh, that's nice to hear that you're enjoying retirement, Nev, not being too busy.
Well, no, as I've said previously, I think I do miss my work chums, definitely, because we had a very good time in the last 4 or 5 years with them. But I'm not missing the job particularly. But there is plenty to do. Show notes to do, videos to edit, interviews to tee up for later in the year, visits to organise, media press passes to apply for air shows. I mean, yeah, so plenty to do. No doubt about it.
John Falk in the chat room, Nev, says, were you avoiding the gym?
Well, I drive past the gym a lot, John. However, I am going swimming once a week, and I'm going for a 2.5 mile or about a 4 kilometre walk most mornings. And then tomorrow we've got the Keep Fit session. Now, where I am the youngest person there by some margin, but these ladies are extremely, what shall I say, supple for their age, I would say. Absolutely incredible. So yeah, I've got some catching up to do, but no, it's we're getting there slowly. As they say, it's not a sprint, it's more of a marathon. But I shan't be running either of those. But so gradually getting rid of some of those nice customer lunches and dinners that I've had over the past 5.5 years.
So, well, after last Wednesday when I went flying in the afternoon, it's sort of it's just been a complete change this week, and I'm glad we did go flying last Wednesday, because the weather's been very changeable of late here, because we had such a lot of sun. It's been so hot, but it's nice to have that bit of coolness now, Nev.
Yeah.
After all that heat, but yes, we have got lots to get through in the show this week. You may notice we are missing a Matt Smith tonight. Also missing Andy as well. Andy's on holiday apparently, sunning his bits.
Another holiday.
I'll tell you what, he has more holidays, Nev, than Judith Chalmers.
Wow.
And if you're from the UK, you'll know who I mean.
Yeah. Well, if he can afford it.
Exactly.
Fair enough.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But we've also got our retro airline ad of the week this week. Got a very special retro airline ad indeed this week. We're going back to, I think, 1964, Nev.
Oh gosh, okay.
Yeah.
I've noticed that with so many of the retro airline ads, it's a real production, isn't it? It's not just any old sort of thrown together advert. There's so much effort put into it, from the cinematography, the orchestra that they've probably hired to do the live music as well. Absolutely unbelievable stuff. So looking forward to this one today as well.
Yeah. Well, let's have a look and see who's in the YouTube chat room this evening. Moving up to the top of the list. See who was in there first. Oh, Neville Bounds, you were in there first. Well done, Nev. Closely followed, though, by Mazouz. He's going to be gutted he wasn't first in there this week. We've got John Jester. Hello to you. He says he's in Charleston, South Carolina, where the temperature feels like 38 degrees Celsius. We've got Dirk S. says, good evening, folks. Richard Adams, evening all with a pint of beer. Well done, Richard. John Falk, hello to you. Good to see you in there. Ant Flynn says, evening all. Hello, Ant. Lee Davies saying, hello all. Hello to you as well, Lee. Good to see you in there. We have got John Falk. Make sure I don't miss anyone. Dirk S. Bill is also in there. Bill Aronek is just watching all the activity at RIA, apparently. That's always good to do. We make sure I don't miss anyone out on the list. Hobby Time. Hello to you, Hobby Time. Good to see you in there as well. Richard E. Flagg. Good evening to you as well, local listener Richard E. Flagg. Masha, hello Masha. Good evening, everyone, she says. Good evening to you as well. And let me keep scrolling down. Jason Trussell, hello to you. Thanks for joining us tonight. A. Savage says, evening, everyone. Hello to you. And I don't think I've missed anyone else. No.
It's John Lawrence.
John Lawrence is in there as well. Hello, John. Good to see you as well in the chat room this evening. So, as I said, we've got plenty to get through this week on the show, including some aviation news. So, Nev, if you're ready, shall we do some aviation news?
I am, yes, let's do it.
Let's do it.
The captain has turned on the seatbelt light. Please take your seats and fasten your seatbelts.
And before we kick off the first news story this week, going to say hello to Captain Cruz as well. Sorry I missed you, Captain Cruz. You're not missed. You're part of the chat room family. Don't panic. The first story comes to us actually from a very sad story indeed that broke early this week from London Southend Airport, the Super King accident. So we expect you've probably heard all about the Super King Air or the King Air B200 accident that occurred just after takeoff at London Southend Airport on Sunday afternoon. This was operated by Zouk Aviation, Nev?
Yeah, Zouk
Aviation. The aircraft was registered Papa Hotel Zulu Alpha Zulu, was making a return flight to one of its home bases at Lelystad Airport in the Netherlands. And, actually, back in 2017, Nev, you organised a listener meet up there, didn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Masha was there as well, from my memory of that. I think I'm right in saying that. So, and many others were as well. So, that was a very good day out, actually, at Lelystad Airport. Yeah.
So the aircraft crashed close to the airport perimeter, was engulfed in flames after takeoff from the runway 05. Media reports cited witnesses saying the aircraft banked to the left within seconds of takeoff in visual meteorological conditions. Rather than read out the various pieces of information from the online print and media, we thought it would be better to play out one of the press conferences that was given on Monday by the police and the CEO of London Southend Airport and the AAIB. This gives the facts of what is known about the accident so far. But Nev, I think this is probably one of the important things, or one of the most important things they've done after this accident happened. I think it's important that they do things like this in these kind of situations, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's, that there's always a protocol to go through for this stuff. And I think that they did exactly the right thing by putting this press conference together fairly hastily, just to, put out the facts. So we thought we'd play it out in full. It's about 5 minutes long. So if you could play it, please, Carlos.
Yes.
Good afternoon. I'm Detective Chief Superintendent Morgan Cronin from Essex Police, and I'm overseeing the investigation into the incident here at London Southend Airport yesterday. Firstly, thank you for your patience as we continue to work with what is an extremely sensitive and complex investigation. Yesterday afternoon, an aircraft which had landed here earlier in the day took off bound for the Netherlands. Shortly after takeoff, it got into difficulty and crashed within the airport boundary. Sadly, we can now confirm that all 4 people on board died. We are working to officially confirm their identities. At this stage, we believe all 4 are foreign nationals. Our thoughts are with the families and their colleagues at this tragic time. I can promise that those who have passed away will be treated with the utmost care and dignity. Our detectives and forensic teams are working in parallel with air accident investigators, the Royal Air Force, Essex Fire and Rescue Service and London Southend Airport to build an accurate picture of what happened. To aid our investigation, the Civil Aviation Authority has put in place a significant air exclusion zone surrounding the crash site. We're also speaking with dozens of witnesses, some of whom have already provided video footage, and we'd like to thank them for their help. I know this will be an extremely distressing scene for them. I would also like to thank London Southend Airport and the wider public for their patience and their understanding. I know there will be a lot of questions about what happened here yesterday. We are doing all we can to establish the facts and get those answers. We will provide further updates as soon as we practically can. I will now hand you over to June Winstanley, Chief Executive Officer of London Southend Airport. Thank you.
Good afternoon. On behalf of everyone at London Southend Airport, I would like to offer our sincere condolences to the families and friends of those lost in yesterday's tragic incident. We would also like to thank our local community for their messages of support and understanding at this difficult time. Our staff are working closely with the emergency services and air accident investigators to support their work. I would like to thank them for all of their hard work during this period. We are in constant dialogue with our operating airlines and, as I'm sure everyone will understand, the airport will remain closed until further notice. Passengers should contact their airline for information and advice. Now I'd like to hand over to Lisa Fitzsimmons. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I am Lisa Fitzsimmons and I am a Principal Inspector at the Air Accidents Investigation Branch. The AAIB investigates civil aircraft accidents and serious incidents within the United Kingdom. We were notified of an accident which occurred at Southend Airport at 16:11 yesterday afternoon and immediately deployed a team of 6 inspectors and engineering support staff. Today, that initial team has been supplemented by an additional 2 inspectors. The AIB team are highly qualified, and on site we currently have expertise in engineering, aircraft operations, human factors and recorded data. We have launched a safety investigation which will establish the circumstances and causes of this tragic accident. Our investigation is in parallel to the investigation by Essex Police. If there are safety lessons that can be learned, we will make recommendations that aim to prevent a similar accident occurring. Now that the emergency services have secured the site, we will be able to begin gathering the evidence we need to understand the circumstances that led to this accident. The aircraft involved in the accident was a Beechcraft B200 Super King Air. As part of our investigation, we are liaising with other state investigation authorities. At this stage, it is too early to speculate on what may have caused this tragic accident. Our focus is on gathering the physical evidence from the accident site and interviewing witnesses. The remains of the aircraft will then be recovered to our facility in Farnborough, Hampshire, for further detailed investigation. Our thoughts are with the families and friends of everyone involved. We would also like to express our thanks to the emergency services and the airport for their assistance. Thank you.
Terrible incident, Nev. I think, we all saw the videos on social media when this happened. There was quite a few videos on social media of this happened.
Yeah, and I think the AIB have asked, and the police have asked for either mobile phone footage or video camera footage, whatever people have got to let them have it. There was a statement from the airport today, actually, at 3:30 in the afternoon on Wednesday. It says that London Southend Airport is today partially reopening for a small number of flights following Sunday's tragic air accident and subsequent closure. 4 EasyJet flights will land at Southend Airport this evening. That's tonight. Eastern Airways will also operate an empty positioning flight. Normal airline operations resume from the morning of Thursday, the 17th of July, which is tomorrow. It says, our thoughts remain with the families and friends of those who tragically lost their lives on Sunday. Throughout the course of this week, we have continued to support the air accident investigation team as they carry out their work. Our airport staff and wider team are doing all they can to help during this incredibly difficult time and will, of course, be on hand to assist passengers as we return to service. The understanding and kindness shown by our local community has been incredible, and we are grateful for their support. Well, that's probably all we can say about the whole thing so far until we get an update from the AAIB with regard to I'm presuming they're going to do a preliminary report at some point, followed by a full report.
And I assume this aircraft would have had, or should or will have, a black box on board, or at least a CVR.
Yes, I'm not sure how much data recording goes on in that particular aircraft, but it's certainly used often for ferrying medical equipment or medevac operations as well. So it was on its way back to Lelystad when we had the accident. So there'll be plenty of data and there'll be plenty of information to come out of the air accident investigators, when they are able to do so.
Now, Nev, you've got the next story, moving on, and something I didn't think I'd see, but obviously it's not worked out for Wizz.
No, I was surprised at this, but then reading the article, it kind of makes sense. It's on flightglobal.com, and it says that Wizz Air are axing their Abu Dhabi venture after struggling with operational and political obstacles. Budget air carrier Wizz Air is suspending operations with its United Arab Emirates venture Wizz Air Abu Dhabi and plans to withdraw from the company. The airline states that it will halt services with the division from the 1st of September. Wizz Air is attributing the decision to operational challenges, including engine reliability in the harsh conditions, as well as geopolitical developments in the Middle East. Whilst this was a difficult decision, it is the right one given the circumstances, insists Chief Executive Joseph Varadi. The operating environment has changed significantly, with supply chain constraints, geopolitical instability and limited market access have made it increasingly difficult to sustain our original ambitions. It established Wizz Air Abu Dhabi in 2020 through a cooperation with local partner Abu Dhabi Developmental Holding Company. Wizz held high expectations for the venture, believing it would expand to a fleet of 100 aircraft within 15 years. Although it commenced operations during the COVID-19 pandemic, it quickly took advantage of emerging political ties between the UAE and Israel to develop its network and build routes to Europe, the Gulf and Central Asia. Well, the division has been using Airbus A321s and A321neos, fitted with Pratt & Whitney PW1100G and IAE V2500 power plants. But it cites engine reliability constraints, particularly in hot and harsh environments, as contributing to its decision. The airline has also been facing difficulties arising from regional conflict, while sapping consumer demand has led to intermittent airspace closure and operational disruption. Wizz Air adds that regulatory issues have restricted its ability to access and scale in certain important markets, and these factors have significantly impacted the viability of Wizz Air's ultra-low-cost model in the region and its ability to deliver profitability in line with its core European operations, the airline said. It aims to exit the venture and focus instead on its core European operations, a strategic realignment which it says offers greater long-term growth and profit potential.
Which doesn't surprise me, Nev.
No, of course, when they started this off in 2020, we did not have the, how should we put this, the political instability that is currently going on in the Middle East. And also, of course, with those very high temperatures all of the time, there must be limits as to what the engines can operate at as well, and the load factors that they can take up from the various runways, and perhaps also in various conditions, not actually departing, in the middle of the day, but actually departing late at night or early in the morning because the temperatures are less. So that does obviously restrict the operation, I would imagine.
Plus, Wizz Air do have some very lucrative routes within their network. And I know I talk about the place a lot on the show, but one of those is Malta. Wizz Air fly a lot into Malta, and I know they've also got some 9 hotel registered aircraft as well, Nev, on their fleet that are based at Lucca Airport. But yeah, and they've also got another couple of very, very busy routes as well on their network as well. Do you know what? I've never flown Wizz, Nev.
No,
I would like to try.
Yes.
And I actually might have a little look at some point in the not distant future, see what their prices are, and how their price structure works for the ticket prices and stuff, whether you get baggage, carry-on or whatever, whether it's like a Ryanair kind of model, because I don't know, I've never looked, so I couldn't tell you, but I've heard that the cabins are quite well presented, and the seating is quite spacious, I should say. Yeah,
of course they've got a very young fleet of aircraft too, haven't they? So if only we knew someone that worked for the airline that could help us. Perhaps we'll come back to you on that.
We could do with that, really, couldn't we? Sorry, Dave was just trotted through. Probably see a tail on the microphone in a minute. This next story comes to us from waterfordnews.ie. And Ryanair marks 40 years since first flight took off from Waterford Airport. Tuesday, the 8th of July, marked 40 years since the first ever Ryanair flight. The flight took off from Waterford Airport, bound for London Gatwick, on Monday, the 8th of July, 1985. The aircraft was a 15-seat Brazilian-made Bandeirante, Nev?
Yes,
yeah,
it is.
And bookings in the first week exceeded the expected level by 40%. But over the next several years, the airline's losses mounted before fortunes eventually turned around. In the last-ditch effort to stave off closure, the airline half fares across the Irish Sea, and the airline carried 5,000 people in its first year. How different that is now. And yeah, passengers embark. 5,000 in its first year, and now passengers embark Ryanair flights every 13 minutes. Sean Power of Harvey Travel on Gladstone Street in Waterford told the news feed that local people were delighted to see the new service in operation. It wasn't unbelievable. Instead of having to travel to Dublin when the roads were totally different from what they are now, people were absolutely delighted to see the service out of Waterford. People were also apprehensive about what type of aircraft it was and how long the flight would take. But when people heard there were lots of bookings, it drove even more people to book. Mr. Power explained that the flight was especially convenient for local businesses and the community, and we were able to make contact with people in the UK and talk to them about inbound traffic to Waterford, building a package of flights into Waterford and a hotel in the area. So in 1982, Waterford's new multi-million airport was granted a licence for international flights. By then, the Department of Transport and Power sanctioned a licence for international flights. In 2025, Ryanair CEO Michael O'Leary cast doubt on the airline returning to Waterford when he said that local lunatics who are determined to get a government grant to build a jet runway, and the Department of Transport recently requested a second business case in relation to government support for an extended runway at the airport. Do you know what, Nev? Never ever heard of Waterford Airport.
Oh, I have. Yes, I've flown into and out of there twice, I seem to remember, back in the day. It's a very useful part of the country, actually, down south. I mean, the problem with Dublin is that it's constraint anyway in terms of passenger numbers. Michael O'Leary's always going on about this. And one of the problems that Dublin Airport has got, even though it's just got its second runway now, is that the infrastructure around the airport is extremely congested, and there's still no proper, well, there isn't any train or tram service at all between the airport and the city centre. There's plenty of bus services and plenty of taxi services, but no, higher speed method of getting to and from the airport. So if you're further down the country, then Waterford Airport actually is a very good option as well, because again, it's just not got the size and the congestion that Dublin has got. And if you look at, Ireland on a map, you think, well, it's not a very large country at all. And it isn't that big, but it does take quite a long time to get from one place to another, although better than it used to, because I remember driving down to Cork from Dublin way back in the 80s and early 90s, and it was almost single carriageway or centrical, but thanks to some assistance from the European Union, Ireland's roads are a lot better now, but they're very busy. There's a lot of people using them. So anything that they can do to improve the way that people get to and from the airport is good, and also with regional airports as well. So this is a good situation for them, which is great.
Yeah, they do well. We knock them, and everyone knocks Ryanair at some point on either the show or on social media. But do you know what, Nev? We're off to the Bray Air show next month, aren't we? And I'm flying with Ryanair. And the flights came in at just over £100 return. So it's
and say what you like about Ryanair, and EasyJet to a certain extent as well. They've worked out what their low cost model is going to be, and they've stuck to it, and they've stuck to the same aircraft type as well throughout, so they give the best possible commonality, as well as maintenance as well. And again, I remember Michael O'Leary saying many times that, he had a good hard look at what made Southwest Airlines successful in the US, and this is the European version of it, very much so.
Yeah. And I'll tell you one thing, Nev. I've never had all the times I've flown with Ryanair, I've never been late. Or delayed 8 hours.
Yeah. Have you got all your money back, by the way, from Big Airways?
Well, I'll tell you what, Nev. I don't know if we mentioned it on the show or not about me getting the money back, but as most of you all know on the show, I had a small 8-hour delay travelling back from Malta last month, and sent the claim into British Airways, and pretty much got a response straight away. The claim was processed, and under the UK 261, is it 261 regulation, we both got a a refund, or a lot of refund, but we both got a payout of £350 UK each, Nev, which I think is very fair, personally. And they also refunded us for beverages that we had purchased at the airport as well, which was also good. And all the communication, to be fair, Nev, between me and BA was really nice. So. Yeah,
I've certainly not found a problem with them in the past at all. When there's been a delay or aircraft has gone tech or whatever it's been, they've actually settled my claim. I think normally within 14 days, the money's been in my account, and I've certainly had communication with them very early on. So no, I can't complain about their system at all, I must say. I mean, I do concede it's not the same for everybody. I don't think we get special treatment, by the way. Either. Just saying that, yeah. So no, it's good, and I think Ryanair, they've got a great business model, and it just works. But they work very hard at it. I say it just works, but they do work very hard at trying to trim all those extra costs off the operation itself, the quick turnarounds, and and the way the things run. And it's not everybody's cup of tea, but if you want to get somewhere at a reasonable price, and as long as you know what the rules of the game are, then it's a good option, definitely.
I'm travelling back there in October, Nev, for a friend's stag do weekend, and the trip there with Ryanair from Stansted to Dublin there is costing me $34.99.
Gosh, wow.
Yeah.
What, to Dublin?
To Dublin, yeah.
Yeah, brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah, you can't beat that. And the return, I think the return was £64.
Yeah.
So it's honestly, it's just so cheap. But Nev, another airline here is offering some money off slightly further.
Interesting one here from Play. This is on the UKaviation.news website, and it says that Icelandic low-cost carrier Play is offering UK passengers 30% off selected flights from London Stansted to Keflavik and selected US airports. To take advantage of the offer, flights must be booked between the 16th and 22nd of July, so that's from today onwards, for travel between the 1st of August and the 31st of October. Routes available for the offer include Stansted to Keflavik, Baltimore, Washington, Boston and New York, Stewart. This offer will be the last opportunity for UK passengers to take advantage of Play's routes to North America, as the airline is planning to withdraw from all its American routes by the end of October 2025 to focus on European flights. You can go to flyplay.com to book your flights. So that's between today, the 16th of July, and the 22nd of July. That's when you've got to book it. And the travel itself has got to be between the 1st of August and 31st of October. But that's another airline, you see, trying to do too much. So they realised that the US thing isn't quite going to work for them in terms of load factor, perhaps, and, airport availability, stand availability, this kind of thing. Why not stick to the known system and the methods that work for them?
Yeah. Especially when you've got competition like Global,
Well, quite, yes. Have you heard anything about Global recently?
I haven't heard a single thing about Global since.
No, I think it's done a bit of flying, but I'll have a look and see what it's been up to.
I know.
There we go.
Right, the next story is coming from flightglobal.com, and FedEx signs to take the first converted ATR-600 freighter by the end of the year. US Express Shipment Specialist FedEx has signed for the first ATR-600 to undergo conversion to a large door freighter. The agreement with the Irish-based ACIA Aero Leasing, which has a subsidiary IPR Conversions, covers the sale of MSN 1239, which will be delivered by December this year. US firm Empire Aerospace embarked on work with the 72-600 turboprop last year, having previously served as a conversion centre for IPR on previous ATR 42 and 72 variants. ACIA says FedEx agreement involves the first ever example of a ATR 72-600 passenger aircraft being modified as a freighter. Going to pop the pictures on there for you, so you watching in the world of YouTube. ACI says the airframe was originally delivered to Air Madagascar back in 2015. FedEx has previously taken delivery of a new build ATR 72-600 freighter as the launch customer for the type, with it signed up for 50 of those aircraft back in 2017. ACIA says it expectedly initiated its own conversion program for the type last year. They said we believe the 72-600 large cargo door aircraft will fit seamlessly into the FedEx operation by offering optimum cost-effective solutions for FedEx ongoing feeder fleet requirements. He says the aircraft will feature specific modifications which are unique to its conversion of the type, and it will also have a rear flip door following acquisition of the rights. And Ducci says the enhancements will allow FedEx to fully optimise the aircraft's scope. So the technical enhancements will continue to set standards for the best regional freighter solution in today's market, he said. It's we always think of cargo aircraft never as being 777s and
or MD-11s, FedEx and UPS.
74s.
Yes, yeah.
But you kind of forget that there is a need for a smaller, more regional-sized cargo aircraft to kind of feed the smaller parcels that need shuttling around Europe, especially.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, these can get into smaller airports, rather than using the big hubs necessarily. Great to see that there's some more movement and some more options available for doing cargo on a regional airline basis, airport basis.
Update in the chat room there from Captain Cruz. Can you see that one?
Let's have a look. Oh, yes. He says that the Global A380 was ferried to Lourdes yesterday from Dresden for storage.
Oh.
Interesting. So storage means not flying, I assume.
Oh, dear, Dev. Spend millions
Andy,
getting it ready, and then...
Yes, our chum, Captain Andy, has said in our WhatsApp chat that his hat is safe. He feels he's not got to eat it.
Ah, yes.
There we go.
FedEx, Darren Smith says FedEx used to have many Falcon 20 biz jets as well. Apparently.
Oh, they did, didn't they? That's right. Yeah, I'd forgotten all about that. Yes, good point. Well done, Darren. Thank you.
So, Nev, you've got the next rather worrying story.
Yes, on aviation24.be, it says a catastrophic mid-air collision was narrowly avoided on July the 6th when an Air China passenger jet and an SF Airlines cargo plane came within just 300 feet of one another after the Air China aircraft made an unauthorised climb over southern Siberia. Air China flight CA967, which was an Airbus A350-900, registration Bravo 32 Delta November, en route from Shanghai Pudong to Milan Malpensa, inexplicably ascended from 34,100 feet to 36,000 feet without clearance from Russian ATC, directly into the flight path of SF Airlines cargo flight 03-128, which is a Boeing 767-300ER. That was registered Bravo 220 Romeo, cruising at 35,000 feet from Budapest to Eshu. The incident occurred over the mountainous Tuva region near the Mongolian border and breached international aviation rules requiring a minimum vertical separation of 1,000 feet between aircraft. The event triggered the Traffic Collision Avoidance System, that's a TCAS, on both jets, with urgent evasive manoeuvres preventing disaster. Radar confirmed that the high-speed convergence at cruising altitude. Audio recordings, which have been leaked online, reveal chaotic radio exchanges between overwhelmed Russian controllers and multiple pilots. In one exchange, the controller asks the Air China pilot whether the climb was instructed, and the pilot responds, "No, thank you." In a follow-up Mandarin dialogue between the two pilots, the SF Airlines captain questions the Air China crew's actions and calls the altitude crossing very inappropriate. The Air China pilot appears to blame a confusing female controller and acknowledged a formal incident report would be required. Well, the Civil Aviation Administration of China, Air China and SF Airlines have yet to publicly comment, but the cause of the unauthorised manoeuvre remains under investigation, but miscommunication or misheard instructions are also being considered. The incident adds to growing global concerns over air traffic safety and pilot controller coordination. All I can say about that is thank goodness for TCAS, because it wasn't that many years ago that it wasn't mandated anywhere outside of the US. So the TCAS has saved the day again and continues to do so as well, doesn't it?
Let's pop that picture on the screen, actually, Nev. You just saying there, you know, there's a screen grab there from Flight Radar 24. And it just shows two aircraft heading for each other perfectly. In fact, I think if you drew a straight line through the fuselage of each aircraft, then they are on the same, same.
Yeah, they're saying it was they missed each other by 300 feet. I'm assuming that was vertically, judging by what we can see there. But it's another miss, which we're pleased to report. But I think TCAS being adopted as a real game changer towards safety has made such a difference in these sorts of situations, isn't it?
So, moving on to this next story from airdatanews.com. Boeing begins building the first wing for the 777-8 Freighter. So Boeing has officially this week started building the wing components for the first 777-8 Freighter, the cargo variant of the new generation of 777X family. Mechanics at the company's Composite Wing Centre have completed the first wing spar, a 100-foot-long composite beam that forms the backbone of the aircraft's wing. The spar, along with skin panels, stringers, are part of the structural elements that provide the wing with both strength and aerodynamic shape. The milestone marks the beginning of physical production of the 777-8F with contributions from key suppliers including Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, Kawasaki Heavy Industries and Subaru as well. Always makes me wonder, Nev, you can hear those names. They're to me, they're all car manufacturers, but anyway.
Oh, they are. They do other things as well. They have different divisions that do different things. Yes.
They said, "We're both excited to be building wings for the new freighter," said Dang Trung, Process Center leader at Boeing. "This is a great step forward. I look forward to seeing the aircraft fly, knowing we played a part." More than 80% of the design drawings for the aircraft have already been completed, and Boeing teams are now performing detailed system integration and lab testing. The aircraft's first delivery, are you ready for this, Nev? Are we going to have a bet on this one? Is due for 2028. The 777-8 Freighter is designed to replace the aging 777 Freighter and the 747-400 Freighter aircraft while maintaining nearly identical payload capacity. Boeing promises a 30% reduction in fuel use and emissions, 25% lower operating costs per tonne, and a 60% smaller noise footprint compared to previous models of the 777F. The ICAO, International Civil Aviation Organization, has determined that the freighters such as the 767F and the 777F will no longer be produced from 2027 onwards for environmental reasons. Since its launch back in 2022, Boeing has received 59 orders for the 777-8 777-8 The freighter is part of a broader 777X family that also includes the 777-9 and the long-range passenger variant, the 777-8. According to Boeing's 2025 current market outlook, the global cargo fleet is projected to grow by two-thirds by 2044, with demand for nearly 900 new large wide-bodied freighters, including the 777-8. I have to say, Nev, launched in 2022, right? And it's received 59 orders. That's not many.
No, and of course, I don't know enough about freight and how it all works in terms of tonnage and load factors and all the rest of it, and the commercial side of things. I'd like to know more. If only we knew someone that worked for a freight airline.
This is built up to be a busy show next week.
Perhaps we should have him on the show again, and he could have a chat with us about how all that works. Because I think the thing is with, let's face it, freight's a very, or has the potential of being a very lucrative part of any operation, and particularly those companies that are doing freight only as well. This is the Dash 8 freighter is going to replace the 777F and the 747-400F as well. And that's down to environmental reasons, I would imagine. Fuel consumption, noise.
John Jester in the chat room, Nev, he's saying he knows nothing.
No. Okay. Or perhaps John knows somebody that does.
We'll have John Jester on the show soon. Don't worry, people.
Yes.
We'll get him on.
Yes. Yeah.
Nev, this is quite, well, I say eye-watering. This just seems very expensive to me, but...
Well, we all know that flying into and out of Heathrow is a bit of an expensive business, whether you're the airline operator or a passenger very often as well. But on cityam.com, it says that both Virgin Atlantic and BA's owners are furious at Heathrow's charge hike. Well, plans for a fresh landing charge hike at Heathrow Airport has triggered fury from its largest airline stakeholders, British Airways and Virgin Atlantic. The UK's biggest airport on Friday announced its intention to hike the levy it charges airlines for using its runway by 17%, a move that will likely push up ticket fares. Well, average landing charges over the next 5 years are expected to increase around £33.26 per passenger from £28.46. It comes as part of a wider plans for a £10 billion in private investment over the next half decade as the West London Airport aims to carry 10 million more passengers by 2031. Well, Heathrow submitted its proposals to the CAA that would bring annual passenger capacity to 92 million, whilst building out existing terminal space for new shops, lounges and restaurants. Virgin Atlantic said it totally agreed Heathrow needed to improve customer experience. However, only Heathrow, with its monopoly power as the UK's only hub airport, would think that this £10 billion investment represents value for money, and that's before any third runway expansion costs are factored into the equation. Heathrow says that its shareholders will contribute a £2 billion in equity, but it is ultimately consumers and airlines that pay the bill. A spokesman for the airline, which is part of a consortium pushing for a regulatory shake-up at the airport, added. Heathrow is already the most expensive airport in the world, and this proposal demonstrates Heathrow's inability to invest capital wisely and efficiently. Therefore, we continue to call on the CAA to undertake an urgent fundamental review of Heathrow's economic regulatory model, which is simply not fit for purpose. Well, both Virgin and IAG claim Heathrow's landing charge would be much higher than the airport claims, anywhere between 25 to 27%, in fact. A suggested £10 billion investment will be paid for by passengers and airlines, raising serious concerns about affordability and value for money, an IAG spokesman said. Heathrow is currently pushing ahead with the long-delayed plans for a third runway, a project that received the backing of Chancellor Rachel Reeves earlier this year. Well, Carlos has been getting his calculator out, and if we have a think about the average landing charges over the next 5 years are going to increase to around just over £33 per passenger from £28. If you took a BA A380, let's say it had 469 passengers on board, that would be £15,598. But at the other end of the scale, an A320neo with 186 passengers on board would be £6,196. That's just in landing fees alone, let alone all the other, ground handling facilities and all the rest of it. So if they're talking about what is potentially the airport is saying 17%, the Virgin and IAG BA's owners are saying it's between 25 and 27%. Let's say it's somewhere between the two, around about 22%. That's a big hike. That's a big number, isn't it? And inevitably, that's going to be passed on to the poor old passengers.
Yeah, to put that in perspective, I should say, for our US listeners, Nev, so that BA A380 full of passengers would work out at $20,923 for their landing fee. And at the other end of the scale, as Nev was just saying, for perspective, an Airbus A320neo with 186 passengers, that would work out in US dollars at $8,311 for that landing fee for that aircraft. But it's when you think, Nev, the amount of operations every hour out of London Heathrow, whether it be A380s, 777s, Airbus A320s, each time each time one of those aircraft lands at Heathrow, that's ching in the that's in the bank. How many aircraft over the course of an hour? Put all those figures into a calculator and add up how much an hour Heathrow are getting for all the landings. I would imagine, Nev, it's a
big number.
Quid.
Although they would say all of your takeoffs are free. We only charge for the landing. So actually, that's a great deal, isn't it? Really. So it's an ongoing problem, and it's an expensive operation down there, we've seen airfares go up a lot, haven't we, in the last couple of years? All those really good deals just seem to be disappearing. I certainly remember in my last two trips to Portland in Oregon for the company, they were getting very expensive the last couple of years that I did them as well. So it's only going in one direction, and with international instability, shall we say, fuel prices are likely to be going up no matter what people have done with hedging fuel costs and things like that.
I'll tell you one thing, Nev. If London Gatwick are charging anywhere near these sorts of fees for landing, they certainly aren't spending it on their departures area.
Oh dear!
Just saying.
Were you disappointed?
Well, not disappointed, but to me, I honestly felt where we flew out of Gatwick to Malta last month, I honestly felt that we'd step back to 1987.
Were you actually born in 1987?
76, actually, Nev. Thank you.
Yeah.
Blimey. No, it's it's just very tired, Nev. Very warm. But then I suppose there's parts of airports that are like that. I would expect there's part of Heathrow, I suppose, that is probably quite dated now. I'm flying out of Gatwick in about 6 weeks' time when we're going to Gran Canaria with the BA boys and girls. So yes, I shall be. You'll be sampling it as well.
Yes.
Yay.
But I should be in the lounge, obviously. So
anyway, thanks, Nev, for that.
Speaking of retro things.
Nev, what's coming up next?
Yeah, well, as we mentioned earlier on, this week we take a trip back to 1964 and a lesson on the Boeing 727 from two boys who know their stuff, and just listen to the menu selection as well.
Eastern's new Boeing 727 jet. Look how high the tail is. 34 feet. Look where they put the jets. In the tail assembly. That's one reason it's so quiet. The passengers are always riding ahead of the sound. Where does it fly to? I don't know.
It flies north. You can hightail it on Eastern's new 727 jetliner to Washington, Philadelphia, and Boston. And a unique new dining service is worth writing home about. Choose from a selection of superb entrees like lobster Newburg, filet mignon with Bordelaise sauce, prepared as you like it. Eastern 727 jet. Quiet as a library. The smartest way to leave town? Come fly with Eastern.
What do you think of that then, Nev?
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, I mean, wasn't the 727 an unbelievable aircraft in terms of its flexibility and its ability to get in and out of shortish runways? But yeah, it chucked out a lot of dirt at the back of the engines, isn't it? All the early versions did. In fact, I think most versions did. But that was a real aircraft, that was a game changer, I would say.
Yeah.
The 727, definitely. I remember I don't think I've been on one either. Dan Air used to run them out of Gatwick back in the day. I don't know if you've been on one of those at all, but yeah, it was a great aircraft, and it made a big difference, I think, to the longer European legs, and also across east to west coast on the US as well.
Dirk S. Nev in the chat room says, quiet as a library, not for the people on the ground.
Oh, no.
Unless, of course, it had the hush kits fitted, because they did fit those hush kits to those JT8Ds, didn't they, later on in the life of the 7.3 and the 7.2.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also in the chat room, Nev, Captain Cruz has got a lot of love for the 727.
Yes, and where are you? Yes, he says he's only had 2 727 flights, but still loves them. And no, I agree, I think. But yeah, if you're outside, or you were doing some plane spotting from Manchester or somewhere where you can get really close to the runway, they were loud, weren't they? Very loud.
But they're still. Don't forget, you can still see those, or see the 7.2 flying here in the UK. You've got the oil spill response 727s that fly, haven't you, Nev? That do the oil dispersant from the wing sprayers. But we saw those at Farnborough. Blimey, quite a few years ago now. We saw those at Farnborough.
Yep.
But
yeah. No, brilliant. Excellent.
Right, Nev, what is coming up next? Because this is I haven't seen this yet. I was obviously there at the time, but I haven't seen this yet. How it came out, so.
Okay, we've just got to apologise because some of the audio on it is not quite up to our usual standard, and by that I mean I had a wobbly transmitter on Carlos's mic, unfortunately. But you can still hear what's going on, but it's not quite up to the normal standard. But we're going back to Duxford now for a fascinating interview that Carlos did with Nick and Jeff, who are the custodians of a fully operational Jet Provost Mark V. Well, the guys there have worked tirelessly in restoring this aircraft to virtually showroom condition, and of course the weather at Duxford on the Saturday that we went there really did show it off at its best. That the paint was popping, I have to say. So here's Carlos speaking with them about the challenges of restoring and operating such an iconic aircraft.
So I'm on the flight line at Duxford here for the Summer Air Show. I'm here with Nick and Jeff, and we're standing next to an aircraft I think most of our UK listeners will know a bit about, but for more of our global listeners, who shall I pick on first? Jeff, just a bit about the aircraft we're standing next to here.
Well, you're standing next to a Jet Provost Mark V. She entered service with the RAF in 1970. She did 3 squadrons during her tenure, 3 FTS at Leeming for 3 years, and then another year or so at 1 FTS at Linton-on-House. When the rest of the JPs were selected for upgrade to T5A status, 14 of those that were made were removed and taken to RAF Finningley, which went on the low-level air defence unit and weren't upgraded. In some ways that saved the airframe's life and expectancy because they were flown gently for the nav course. So they flew navigators around the country and they were never raced or rallied. So we've now got an airframe that's got relatively low fatigue time and low hours.
It does look very impressive, I will say. Like it's literally just rolled off the production line. You've done a good job.
Well, we try.
So, with you then, Jeff, a bit about yourself.
Well, I'm basically a cabinet maker by trade, and my day job is really restoring VIP aircraft. So it wasn't a big stretch to go towards something that was non-VIP.
Slightly different, yeah. I bet it's VIP inside though.
Well, we try. We keep it clean, we keep it tidy, and we change and replace and restore as needed. So it's an ongoing. It's a fourth road bridge basically. That's the way we look at it. And Nick keeps me on the straight and narrow because he's more engineering than I am.
Nick, a bit about yourself.
So my background is I was propulsion technician in the Royal Air Force, and I trained on these aircraft on the Viper 202 engines at RAF Cosford, and I've known this aeroplane longer than Jeff actually. In 1996 I got to know this aircraft when I was an apprentice, and it was I think it was the first or the second civilian Jet Provost, and I helped the civilian owners not kill themselves with like live ejection seats and all stuff like that. So I've known it since 1996, and followed its life around, and very, very kindly Jeff sold me 50% of it in 2022, so we're now co-owners. And like he says, the way the aircraft looks is completely down to Jeff. He is a master at making things look absolutely perfect. It's absolutely nothing to do with me whatsoever. It's all Jeff's doing.
So a bit about the jet behind us and the kind of characteristics, what it's like to fly.
Yeah, it's lovely to fly. It's a very expensive cruiser, so you can go from the UK to Southern Europe, and it will be a beautiful ride all the way. And then you can also throw it around the sky and make people feel sick and whatever else. So it's a real Jekyll and Hyde aeroplane. It's not the most dynamic in its display, and it's no Typhoon because it's not fly-by-wire or anything like that, but it will still pull 5G and it will still make you feel uncomfortable. But yeah, it's a great aeroplane, really great.
And on a day like today, we've got such a good day here at Duxford with the weather and stuff and the heat. Obviously, I think we're getting towards 30 degrees Celsius today. When you're in this aircraft, obviously you've got that big canopy over there. I'm guessing, guys, it's quite warm.
It's not very pleasant. I flew it on Friday when I brought it in here, and it was 30 degrees leaving Southend, and it was very, very hot. I would say the air conditioning system isn't up to today's standards, and also it affects the performance of the aircraft, which is something that you've got. The aircraft doesn't have an abundance of thrust anyway. So as it gets hotter, the thrust reduces, and that's something that you have to take into account when you're heavy, as we were leaving Southend.
So, again, the heritage of this aircraft. What year was this particular one built?
1970. The 38th Jet Provost to roll off the line at RAF Wharton. Sorry. So that's when it was built. So it's older than me, which makes me feel better. But yeah, it's a cracking aeroplane. Love it to bits. Absolutely love it.
You've got obviously forgiven family, so you don't mind the amount of time you guys probably spend.
No, it's my other half. She was very pro the aircraft, and she came round all over the place with us. So I was lucky in so much as she enjoyed it as much as I did. So that was a real bonus. She could have been totally different and been a nightmare, but she wasn't. She was lovely.
I've got an 8-year-old daughter, and she cannot wait to go in the aeroplane. So as soon as she's tall enough and she does things that I tell her, like don't touch the yellow and black handle, she'll be in it. Yeah, she loves flying.
On the show we cover aircraft from all realms: commercial airline, GA, military aircraft, and obviously a lot of these aircraft are new. Especially the commercial airliners are brand new. But then when we come here today to Duxford, you've got all these vintage aircraft. And like the Provost behind us and that, how important do you think it is for us to keep these aircraft maintained, keep them flying, and obviously keep them at places like this at Duxford, showcasing to the public?
I do think it's important. I think it is a part of British aviation heritage. I mean, it's 100% built in the UK, which is sometimes a good thing, sometimes a bad thing. Brilliant British engineering, over-engineered, as we've come to know. I think it is really important because Jeff and I are only custodians of this aircraft. This aircraft will be around after we're gone, and we want to hand it on to other people that are going to keep it in a similar condition and use it in a similar fashion. We face challenges. Spares are becoming rarer. We have a very good inventory of spares, thanks to Jeff. We have a very good support from our engineering organisation. So yeah, everything's in our favour. We just hope we can do it and pass it on to the next generation.
And I'm guessing fuel as well is one of those costs that doesn't ever go down but goes up.
Yeah, it's very thirsty, and the frustrating thing is that the regulations force us to fly low level effectively around the UK where the aircraft is using more fuel, or actually we want to be up high. So if we're transiting from, say, Duxford to Harden in North Wales, where we're going to be going on Friday, we want to be up at airliner level where the aircraft is a lot more economical, burns a lot less fuel, and is a lot more environmentally friendly. But we're not quite there yet with the authorities, but we're working at it.
So for the rest of this season, I'm guessing you're obviously here at Duxford today, Jeff, but you got any more plans for the rest of the year? You're going to go to any other air shows?
Yeah, we've got an whole inventory of shows coming up. The one that we're going to after this will be Fairford to Riyadh, and we've got a whole list of RAF Families Days, because obviously we support the RAF and the Families Days because they what made the thing, if you like, famous in the first place. The RAF had it for nearly 40 years, so we support those as best as we can. We're down on the South Coast air show, South East Coast, Eastbourne and Manston. Yeah, there's quite the list goes on, and it's hard to remember them all in order that they run. But and we're Southport as well. Yes,
there is an extensive Excel spreadsheet of where we have to be at what time. Yeah.
So whereabouts are you guys based with the aircraft then? What
East Midlands.
East Midlands. Oh, okay. Yeah. So you had a little kind of hop across here.
Yeah. Well, we went to Southend to support the Vulcan Restoration Trust that are restoring a Vulcan bomber down at Southend, or looking after a Vulcan bomber down at Southend. They had an open day, so it went down there to support them, and then flew from Southend to here in 11 minutes. So it was quite rapid.
Wow. That is one thing you don't realise when you go into the world of aviation, just how quickly it is to get from point A to point B.
And people don't realise the amount of support we actually need. You don't operate these aeroplanes willy-nilly. They have to be supported, and we've got lots of support, and particularly from the likes of East Midlands Airport and Air Traffic Control at East Midlands. They look after us fantastic. They like something a little different, and we certainly fill that bill.
Actually, I was going to ask, is there, I mean, for the listeners, do you have like a site where people can go and kind of donate or help to keep this project going?
Well, not to donate, but Jet Aerobatics. If you Google Jet Aerobatics, that's our website, and there's a lot of information on there about the aeroplane. Again, that's Jeff's domain, if you pardon the pun. But he can. He's got all pictures on there of inside the aircraft, and you'll be able to see how immaculate it is inside. It is, it's incredible inside.
Oh, brilliant! I was just saying to Nev earlier, I'd love to have a go. Just sit. I'd take it that's not something you offer up. It's like a sort of passenger kind of experience.
So the Civil Aviation Authority do allow it. It's called SSAC. You have to meet some criteria which we meet and exceed. However, it's a discussion that Jeff and I have had, and it's something that we don't really want to do. We want to preserve the aircraft. It's for our use. We display it where we want to display it, it's just a personal choice, really.
And long may it continue. You guys have done such a great job.
I think principally what we do, or we've taken a view that to put somebody in one of those seats, we need to spend at least half a day doing the briefs, the ejection seat drills, the strapping in, equipment fitting, helmets, suits, and to be done properly and correctly and without stressing the passenger, because it can be a little bit claustrophobic when you start sticking a bone dome and a mask and strapping them in line and trussing them up like a chicken. The few passengers that we have taken, which are really family members, we do the briefs on one weekend and give them a chance to absorb it and let them read the written matter, and then we do the flight the following weekend, so that it's not all crammed in one fast and furious session. And that way we feel that's safer, rather than that just bombarding people with information that they can't take it in because they're excited about the flight. And we just think it's, all in all, a bridge too far to do these things as an everyday passenger ride. There's too much to do. That's my opinion. Yeah, my opinion. I mean, other people have a different view, and if they can make it work, then that's fine.
So, Nick, start to wrap up. What's the future hold for you guys and the Provost here?
Well, the 324, this Jet Provost, is going to be joined by another aircraft. Jeff and I have purchased a Strike Master, which is effectively the GTI version of the Jet Provost. So it's got a 535 Viper engine in, which is much, much bigger. And that's a Royal Saudi Air Force aircraft originally, and that's got really cool things on it, like pylons and rocket launchers and missiles and drop tanks and all other things. So so that's I don't think that's any secret anymore. It certainly isn't anymore now. And that's being restored at our maintenance providers. That's up there at the moment, but it's going to take a while. Nothing happens overnight, so it's going to be a couple of years, but they'll be both of them flying together at some point.
Sounds good. Sounds like fun. Right, we're going to wrap up, but one last question for both of you guys. We always ask everyone who we talk to at the air shows as a kind of put you on the spot question, as we're here at the air show at Duxford this year. We'll start with you, Jeff. If you were given a chance now to go out on the flight line and take any aircraft, not just the ones that are here, but anything commercial, GA, military, flying or retired that may be sitting in one of the hangars here behind us, and someone said you can go out, Jeff, now take it out for a run, what would it be?
I'm particularly into the big radial machines, to be honest, particularly the American carrier-borne types. So if I got a choice at carte blanche, I'd pick the TBM Avenger.
Oh, the Avenger?
Yeah.
Yeah. Very nice sounding aircraft as well.
Very big and heavy. Yeah, that would be mine.
And for you, Nick?
Oh, it's unfair because I knew the question, so I've had longer to think about it. Tornado GR4.
Okay.
So I finished my career in the Air Force on the Tornado GR4 as a propulsion mechanic. I was a frustrated fighter pilot, really, and I'd have one of those. Yeah.
There we go. Jeff, Nick, thank you very much for your time speaking to us today on the show. It's been great to have you on and to listen to all about this aircraft. So thank you very much indeed. And have a great rest of the day.
Thank you very much.
There we go, Nev.
Yes, very interesting to listen to the fellows there. If you want to find out more about that aircraft, just go to jetaerobatics.weebly.com. That's Weebly. Jetaerobatics.weebly.com. There's all the information about the aircraft on there. And it first flew on the 26th of June 1954. So this year we'll see the type reach its 71st anniversary. Incredible, isn't it? A couple of takeaways I thought from that interview. I didn't realise that they had to fly at a relatively low level when they're getting around the country, so that just burns a whole load of fuel, doesn't it? I could imagine. And also the possibility of taking passengers. It's a massive undertaking, isn't it? So they're just not going to be doing that because of all the briefing and all. If you imagine you've got ejector seat involved, bone dome, oxygen mask, the whole thing. I mean, the briefing and the insurance must be massive. So making the decision not to do that, I think, is probably a good one, isn't it? So
I'm going to say a special thanks to the guys as well for obviously not just for talking to us, but also allowing me and Nev to sort of climb up onto the aircraft and take a look inside the cockpit as well. That was absolutely fantastic to see inside there. And Nev, you were standing up there on the wing. That was quite a shot as well.
Yes, and actually, just standing on the wing itself, it was quite windy that day. We were there, and it took some holding on to the aircraft not to fall off, I have to say. But no, brilliant interview, Carlos, and thanks to Nick and Jeff for spending the time. You can tell that they're enthusiastic about it, can't you? That's the main thing.
So, going to say goodbye in the chat room to John Jester, Nev. He's off to go and fly the Dreamlifter.
Ah, right. Well, I'm sure you can't wait to come back and tell us all about it, John. Looking forward to hearing about your experiences on that.
Wow. There we go. Our very own Dreamlifter pilot in the chat room. Yes, we'll get. Hopefully, we'll get John Jester back on the show soon when we can try and line things up with John's busy schedule. Right, Nev, what's up next?
You know what it is, don't you? It's the military. So, and I have chosen these two stories myself. So, if there's any question about mispronunciation or general weirdness, I'm perfectly prepared to take full responsibility for it.
What's up, Bogies 13550, Angel 16, heading 340. Okay. 100 St. Bogies.
So the first story this week in the military segment comes to us from zona/militaire.com. Where did you find this, Nev? US Air Force begins using its A-29C Super Tucanos to train new test pilots. So, in light of the need to modernise its training aircraft fleet, the US Air Force has formally begun employing its Embraer A-29C Super Tucanos aircraft in the training of its new test pilots. The milestone marks the full integration of the Brazilian-designed light attack aircraft into the curriculum of the Test Pilot School based at Edwards Air Force Base in California, consolidating an initiative fleet that began to take part months ago with the transfer of 3 units from the Air Force's Special Operations Command. The assignment of the 3 A-29s to the TPS, which took place in July 2024 after the aircraft had been temporarily stored at Davis-Monthan Air Force Base, represents the first addition of a nearly new aircraft to the school in over 3 decades. Originally acquired by AFSOC under the Light Attack Armed Reconnaissance Air Program, which envisioned the procurement of 100 aircraft for counter-insurgency, close air support and intelligence surveillance and reconnaissance missions. The planes were eventually withdrawn from active service following the program's termination and later reassigned to experimental and advanced training roles. Since arriving at Edwards Base, the aircraft underwent extensive maintenance processes carried out by the 412th Test Wing in collaboration with Sierra Nevada Corporation, which is responsible for the assembling of the Super Tucano in Jacksonville, Florida. At the same time, TPS instructors, led by Major Mutus Barek, began developing specific flight and maintenance procedures, since due to the limited use of the A-29s with the Air Force, there had not yet been a formal training course for the platform. The A-29C has been incorporated as the key tool within the school's curriculum, providing students with a modern platform for training install and spin manoeuvres, as well as mission training systems and sensors. The capabilities combined with its flight endurance exceed an hour and a half, allowing for greater number of repetitions compared to other aircraft used for similar tasks, such as the gliders or F-16s, the latter being reserved for students specialising in fighter aircraft testing. Now, I saw one of these a few years back now when I first visited the Dubai Air Show, Nev. That was a few years before I went out with you. But saw one of these Super Tucanos fully dolled up with many, many weapons on the wings, underslung on the wings. It's quite a menacing aircraft to see, considering, it's not a jet fighter.
Well, I'm pleased you told me that, which means I've selected exactly the right story for you, isn't it, really? So I know how much you enjoyed reading that as well.
Thanks, Nev.
Trouble is, we don't have as much time as we would like to rewrite all these stories in normal language, so we end up with some of the press releases as well, which, as you can probably tell, but nonetheless, it's good to hear that they're putting to good use again. That's the main thing, isn't it? Well, the next military story is on the aviationist.com. And it says that US Air Force B-52s deployed to Andersen Air Force Base in Guam, linked with Japanese Mitsubishi F2 and South Korean KF-16 Fighting Falcon aircraft, whilst operating in the Pacific region on the 11th of June, just gone. According to the US Air Force, the escort mission marked the third trilateral flight between the three nations over the course of 2025, with the first taking place in January. Other bilateral exercises have also taken place, including a precision strike drill featuring US Air Force B-1B Lancers and Republic of Korean Air Force F-15s and KF-16s. The Japan Air Self-Defense Force contributed 2 Mitsubishi F2s for the escort, a locally built derivative of the F-16, while the ROCAF sent KF-16 fighter Falcons to accompany the US jets. Multiple B-52s from Minot Air Force Base in North Dakota deployed to Andersen Air Force Base, Guam, earlier this month to commence a bomber task force deployment. Joint training missions with allies are a key part of these deployments, which take place in both the European and Pacific theatres. Their frequency has increased in recent years, with the previous B-52 detachment to Guam only wrapping up at the end of May, and a B-1B deployment to Japan took place in April. Alongside these, B-52s remain deployed to Diego Garcia, where they replaced previously deployed B-2 Spirits. US Air Force press release said that the following about the trilateral sortie: our steadfast commitment fosters trust, strengthens cooperation and reinforces the collective will and ability to maintain security and stability in the Indo-Pacific. Permanent rotations of strategic bombers to Guam were maintained by the US Air Force for over a decade until 2020, when the routine switched to the current regular BTF deployments. You always forget, don't you, these so many of these exercises that are done by bilateral and trilateral agreements using multiple countries. It's not just the US Air Force that does this stuff. They rely on their international partners and and cooperation around the world. So, yeah, there we go. Just in case you didn't know.
In case you didn't know, and. In case you didn't know, it is RIAT this weekend. A very, very busy show with a lot of aircraft, military aircraft on display. I know. I think you can still get tickets for Sunday. I think I'd read on their last social media thing, but it's going to be a busy. Very busy weekend there this weekend with lots of military jets flying and on static display as well. I'm sure that Jonathan Warner will be gaining some pictures of many aircraft as well. He's already there. He got there yesterday at RAF Fairford he's on a campsite, Nev. I saw a picture of him with a load of other fellow military grey stuff lovers on a campsite with many camera lenses getting ready for.
So don't they have a Hilton on site or something like that?
Probably not a Hilton. No, I don't think they've got a Hilton. No, but it's going to be a busy. It's definitely going to be a busy weekend, RIAT, this year. Yeah. And let's just hope, fingers crossed, that the weather stays good for the air show, because as much as it's been very nice the last few weeks, everything could change. But at the moment, I think the forecast is looking okay for RIAT.
So is he staying to the bitter end, and
he is,
when the aircraft depart as well?
Yeah, that's what Mr. Warner does every year. Gets there about 7 hours before, 7 days before the aircraft arrive, and then leaves about 3 days after the air show itself.
Gosh. And do you think my idea of a competition is a reasonable one?
Do you know what, Nev? I've been thinking about this during the show, and I think I'm gonna reach out to Mr. Warner. I've got his number. I'll give him a call, and I'll see if he's up for that. We just need to think of a suitable prize, Nev, to give away.
Well, maybe his brand new Canon camera perhaps could be the prize. We've not mentioned that to him yet, but I'm sure he's a generous fella. So, yeah, we'll come up with a nice prize for that. So, we'll run the competition from next week then, shall we? When it's over. So, yeah.
Yeah. We'll do that. Your chance to win something we've not decided yet, but your chance to win something awesome, which will be guessing how many pictures Mr. Warner will take this year. Now, I'm guessing Nev normally, as with him, he normally takes quite a big handful of SD cards for his camera.
Yeah, absolutely. Talking of air shows, of course, Carlos and I are off to the Bray Air Show. Now, it's made a little bit more challenging for Carlos because his house move has been pushed back a little bit. But I think he's still going to be there, all being well. But, of course, it's the biggest air display in Ireland, free as well. And on their website, brayairdisplay.com. Is where you need to go. Car parking is €12 if you're going to take the car, but you must have a car parking permit in order to park your car. We're just awaiting the media accreditation details from the organisers. We've sent our details into them, so hopefully we'll hear back in the next week or so. That's on Saturday, the 2nd of August. Saturday, the 30th of August, you can join us for lunch and watch the GA World go by over at Beccles Airfield. That's Echo Golf Sierra Mike. And arrangements are being made for us to have a table outside too, if the weather's nice. So come and have some lunch with us. We can't say that we're going to pay for all of your lunches, but we'll see what we can do.
It might stretch to a can of Coke, Nev.
Yeah, a can of Coke. Why not?
Yeah.
So again, hopefully the weather will be nice for that as well.
Yes, it's going to be a nice little meet-up. We've been doing it now for a few years now, and it's always nice to get the chance to meet up with some of the listeners. So again, just in case you missed it, that'll be the 30th of August. So if you are in the UK, or if you want to fly in even to the UK and join us there at Beccles, Echo Golf Sierra Mike is the ICAO code for the airfield there. I think you can fit... You can definitely fit the 172, 150s, and I know the PA28's getting there okay as well. But it's always best to check with the airfield and obviously with the guys there. But it'd be great to have as many of you there as we can this year for our meetup. I know we've definitely got a handful of people, Nev, coming to see us at Beccles, so that'll be really nice as well. And also, Nev, we've got we may have one of our listeners or a few of our listeners joining us at the Bray Air Show as well.
Yes, we've heard about that, so that's good news, isn't it? So, when we've worked out where we're going to be and all the rest of it, we will let you know.
Yes, we will.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
Right, we are going to start to wrap up the show for this evening. I'm going to go and treat myself to some scrambled eggs this evening. I think, Nev, I'm going to spoil myself tonight. But just for the benefit of those who might not know, Nev, where can they find us on the socials?
Yes, on the socials. Well, just search Facebook, X or Instagram for Plain Talking UK. You can email the show at podcast@plaintalkinguk.com, and the website is plaintalkinguk.com as well. You can WhatsApp us +44 7446 975 214. That's +44 7446 975 214. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. You'll get notifications when we go live, and you can help shape the conversation of the show by joining us in the chat room, as many people have done tonight. So thank you very much for that. You can go to youtube.com, just search for Plain Talking UK. As you're probably aware, it does cost us our own money to put the show on, media hosting costs, website hosting costs, and what have you. If you feel that you can help to offset some of those by generously helping with a donation or two, we've got information about PayPal and Patreon donations on our website. Just go to plaintalkinguk.com and all the details are on there. I think we're still in the process of doing some website refurbishment, and we'll have some more news on that soon, hopefully, as well.
Yeah. Actually, on that note, Nev, going to say thank you to one of our latest Patreon members who's joined us very recently, to Sturman in the chat room, who recently became a patron of the show. So thank you, Sturman, for joining. It's very kind of you indeed. Thank you very much. So,
also, and Dirk S has just reminded me, also hit the like button as well on the YouTube stream. That does help us get more views, and it helps with the old algorithm business that YouTube does as well. So that's very helpful. Thank you.
So that is where we're going to start to bring the show to a close. Big thanks to everyone who's tuned in this evening to join us on the show and watch in the YouTube chat room, and also all the family in the chat room as well, making it an awesome read for us here as hosts to look at the chat room while we're doing a live show. Also, thank you to everyone who downloads the show as well as an audio podcast, because I know a lot of people do download the show as an audio podcast. Nev, we met one of our audio downloaders at Duxford, didn't we?
We did, yes. And he's a BA first officer, I seem to remember.
Yeah.
So, brilliant. So thank you very much, and please continue to do that. I don't get the chance to listen to the show myself very often, but I've decided to do that more often as I'm going on my morning walk. So actually, it's quite nice to hear things coming back, especially the show we did last week with Captain Al, who told us all about his collection of the A321 XLR from Airbus at Hamburg. That was really interesting, I thought. So it was good to hear that as an audio download as well.
Yes, very much indeed. And if you missed it, as Nev said, go back and rewatch last week's show, or you can also download the audio for last week's show as well, because it was a very, very popular show indeed. We had some lovely feedback as well, didn't we, Nev, for that show as well. So thank you for that as well. That's it for the show tonight then. As I said, thank you for everyone for tuning in this evening, and we'll be back, hopefully, fingers crossed, with a show next Wednesday at 7 o'clock here on YouTube. So make sure you tune in next Wednesday for that. So, Nev, I'll hand things over to you to say goodbye to everyone whilst I press some pretty crucial buttons.
Yes, and thank you everyone for being in the chat room tonight and for downloading and for viewing us as well. We really do appreciate it. Hope you have a great weekend and the rest of the week. As Carlos says, we'll be back at 7 o'clock UK time on YouTube next Wednesday. In the meantime, bye for now. A lot of competition in the chat room for who should have the crown, I've noticed.
Yeah, I noticed that, Nev.
The new
who's number
feature
one
that
this
nobody
week?
asked for.
Who is number one this week, Nev?
Let's have
Do
a
we
look.
know?
Well, it was me at one point, but only because I was the first in the chat room. But John Falk at number 2 currently. Dirk S number 3, which is surprising. I thought it'd be higher than that. Who else we got in there? John Falk was number 1, as was Dirk S at one point as well.
Oh, Sturman's number 3 now.
Oh dear.
Yeah, Dirk S.
I again, it's like so many things, functionality that nobody asked for.
That is true. That is so true. Functionality on YouTube that no one really cares about or asked for. Yeah,
no, exactly.
It would be different if YouTube were going to give loads of money to the person who had the number 1 crown at the end of the show. Yeah,
that's not going to happen, is it?
Not going to happen. No. Yeah. So that's it. That's a wrap. That one we done well tonight. Thank you. Thanks everyone as always. Looking forward to the Braille show this year, as Nev was just alluding to there. the day after I get back from the Bray Air Show is the day that I complete on my house sale and have to move. So it's going to be a very, very busy time indeed. So,
you're going to have to get it all packed up before you go, presumably, aren't you?
Yes, that is on the cards, Nev. That is on the cards. It's definitely going to be a trying time, and also...
Or just ask Gemma to do it for you. That's the other possibility.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Yeah, I can already sense that going down, well, very heavily. Like a A380 with lead engines.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like a global A380.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to moving. The one thing that worries me, as does with every house move that I think anyone in the world does, is that how quickly that the internet and broadband will be switched on at the new house.
Well, that's a good question, isn't it? Yeah, that's. And have you checked? You've got mobile phone service at the house as well, because that when I was in Gloucestershire today, it was. I mean, in quite a highly populated area, only 3G service as well. So yeah, put your hand up outside your house to make sure you've got some decent
and
speeds.
Oh, who's that in the chat room? I just noticed. Captain Cruz says goodbye garage studio. Yeah, I know. The studio that I built here. While we're just finishing here, I'll grab my camera so you can see. There's outside there. Looking lovely. If I turn around this way, you can probably see me on the big screen, along with lots of aviation tags. And a can of Dr. Pepper. And if I turn around that way, you can probably just see the on-air neon there. And this is as quite rightly pointed out, is the garage. So yeah, all the time I spent converting this, and it's now going to be probably never used for a studio again after we move from here. So yeah.
Oh dear. Never mind.
Never mind. Right. Thanks again for everyone for joining us this evening. Very much appreciated on this Wednesday night as the sun starts to set here on the Waveney Valley. Have a good weekend, everyone. And Nev, would you like to say goodbye to everyone? And I shall gently fade us out.
Yeah, nice. Thanks to everybody for joining us. Really good fun in the chat room as always. Hopefully Matt will be back next week. I might have Andy back as well next week as well, which would be nice. Find out what he's been up to on his holidays. In the meantime, I hope you have a great week. Take care of yourselves and bye for now.